YOLO superstitious and telepathetic people of YouTube. So today I want to talk to you guys about devils, man. I've seen my share of devils, and I have a completely different take on things than most people. I've heard some interesting stories throughout my life of people actually running into demonic entities, And first off, I want to start off with the ignorance of it all. This whole 666 and devils and whatnot. I remember being a little fucking kid, man. I think I was like 10, 11 years old. I wanted a job. I wanted a job because I saw the older kids having cool shit and I wanted cool shit. So I remember I used to go to this fish store all the time, man. And the people seemed pretty nice over there. So one day I decided to walk in there with my friend and ask to get a job, right? And I'm like 10 years old. So, I walk in there. I'm like, can I get a job here? Whoop-de-whoop. And the person's like, you're like a minor. I was like, don't worry about it. My parents are fine with it, They're like, well, you can only work like 3-4 hours a day. I was like, I'm completely fine with whatever you guys give me, And it came time, like I was giving my information, and at that time we had landlines. It was pagers that just came out, right? So he's like, what's your phone number? And my phone number started with 666, right? By chance, man. And as soon as I wrote down 666 and whatever my phone number was, this guy went white. This Hispanic dude just went white and complete. I'll call you. Yeah, just don't worry about it. We'll get in touch. And it was so evident to me at that age that this dude completely did not want me coming there, even though he was ecstatic about me coming there earlier, until I gave my phone number that started out with 666, man. And now as an adult, man, I wear hats, and sometimes in my hats I'll wear horns. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why I wear horns in my hat is because I want to keep retarded, dumb people like that away from me. You get what I'm saying? I want you to stay away from me before it even gets, like, the possibility of you getting close to me. Your ignorance, I hope it keeps you away from me. Because if you see 2 horns on my hat and that's enough for you to be in your feelings, I don't want to be acquainted with you whatsoever. You are the most programmed sheep, in my opinion. Now to go on to things I've seen and things I've heard people tell me. So I see shadow people, right? And in my entire lifetime of seeing shadow people, I've never thought of them to be a demonic thing, a devil type of thing, right? Even though a lot of people think it is, I don't think that's the case. And I'm going to end it at that. But I will tell you a very interesting story I heard from a dude in jail. So it was the first time I was ever in jail. No, the second time, I'm sorry. They picked me up on a probation violation for no reason, And I told them my back hurts and whoop-de-whoop. And so they sent me to medical for some weird reason. And there was this dude in there, this black dude. And in medical, there is very low politics. Almost none. So you can talk with people, right? It was just basic stuff in California jail politics. Just don't share food, but you can talk to people, right? And this dude had been shot something like 7 times or 8 times. And the story he tells me, man, he's like, dude, like, I know this sounds fucking crazy. He goes, but this is the way he got shot. So basically, he goes, I go inside a liquor store. I come out the liquor store. And as I'm coming out, I hear someone go, fuck whatever gang. And even though he wasn't a gang member, he was from that neighborhood. So it caught his attention and he turned around real quick. And it turns out it was like this 13, 14-year-old kid with a revolver. And he goes, bro, I look at this kid and he had to be like 5'2" or something in that range. And he goes, I see this demon that's massive inside him. This demon is so tall that he's squatting, and the demon's knees are sticking out of his chest, and the demon's head is above where his head is. And he goes, this dude just he has a blank expression, and he goes, man, he let off his five shots, opened up his revolver, and he had a quick load. He emptied out the shells, threw the other ones in, shot me some more times, and he goes, I was just G.I. Joeing in front of the car. He ran out of ammunition. He hops in the car and dips, and somehow I miraculously survive. He goes, but it was just the weirdest thing, man, that this kid was, he was possessed by a demon in front of me, right? And he went into vivid detail about this, man. And he went into detail to a point where it was weird, man. Like, I'm not very gullible, man. I don't really believe people. You know what I'm saying? When they when they talk about some supernatural shit, right? But this guy was completely different, man. He told me, like, this is just what it was. This is what I saw for what it was. I don't fucking know, but this is it. This was the situation. And he gained absolutely nothing by lying about that. On the contrary, he had a lot to lose by saying such a story. He could be labeled as crazy, as missing some screws, all kinds of stuff that would be negative in that environment. And this guy, you know, we chopped it up, and he trusted me enough to just share his story of this. And that's the one and only person I've heard a story about where I was like, you know what, man, like, this dude he just sounds like he's telling his story. Now, aside from that, I'm not the one to say that he's lying or he's telling the truth. All I'm saying is, it sounded pretty fucking legitimate to me, dude, based on all the things. And I'm not gullible, man. I'm not gullible at all. And I've heard so many other stories from other people, and I don't buy it, man. I don't buy 99.999% of this shit out there, man. And some of my stories, man, if someone had told me, like, that I see shadow people, right? I've had people tell me they see shadow people after I tell them. But no one's ever told me about shadow. Like, if I never saw them and someone told me, I wouldn't believe it. I'd think this person is missing some fucking screws, you know? And for that reason, I don't really blame friends, family, or people close to me that look at me a little weird when I talk about shadow people, right? Because it's this really weird thing, man. I'm not very religious, you know? Like, I lost my religion. I actually lost my religion going to jail. Just all the craziness I saw in there and all this stuff, man. And I read the Bible, and reading the Bible was the last straw. It was the straw that broke the camel's back, because it was like, holy fuck, man, all these stories people have told me about the Bible, they've been bullshitting. It hasn't been accurate. It hasn't been as it's written. And it completely turned me off, you know? And I was like, holy shit, man, the Bible is filled with so many interesting and weird stuff that, like, if you take it for face value, like, you can be labeled a crazy person if you believe all of it, right? Now, I have family members that are extremely Christian and extremely, you know, they're really faith-based. And I always looked at it like, faith is a good thing to have, man. Like, I don't have it, but it's a great thing to have. For someone to be able to be like, you know what, man, I'm in a fucked up situation, And you know what? God is going to pull me through. Jesus is going to get me out of this. That is so much better and easier than what I have to tell myself, which is I got to get myself out of this shit. Whether I like it or not, I'm going to get myself out of this shit, right? It's so much easier to just throw that burden on God and then just wait for things to work out. It's so much easier, and I'm kind of envious of people that have that, right? Because I don't, and I see it, and it's like they have such an easier time dealing with hardship because they don't have to lean on themselves. They lean on their faith, right? So faith has a lot of good things in it, man. And I'm not anyone to knock people and say they're wrong in their beliefs. But I, by no means, am gonna validate anyone's beliefs. I'm gonna say these are their beliefs, and I'm gonna say, who knows, like an agnostic person, right? Like, I don't know, man. The world is larger than my perspective of it, and who knows what's possible. And if the correct evidence shows itself to me, I'd be a fool not to believe it, right? Like all these cars, I'm seeing these cars, and if these cars are showing themselves to me, I'd be a fool to think these cars don't exist, they're not parked here. That's kind of how I see it, man. So when it shows itself, I'll take it for what it is and not what I think it is or what I want it to be, right? So that's the case with like me and the shadow people thing. Like I see shadow people, I don't know what they are. I'm not gonna jump to a conclusion and say, you know, they're demonic and they're devils, and they might be a positive thing for all we know. And we just get this creepy vibe out of them, like, because it's like strange to us. So that's kind of how I see that, man. And it blows my mind how many people are like tripped out by like this devil demonic concept, right? Like they trip out on these numbers, 3 6s, oh my god, you know, like the world is over. Or like you get what I'm saying, horns on your hat, oh my god, he's the devil. Like I had an albino pit bull, man. It's in my videos, you could see it. I've had people tell me albinos are evil and that dog, you better watch out, it's gonna eat you one day. I had the sweetest dog in the fucking world when it came to people. If you weren't a person, it would try to eat you. But if you had 2 legs and you walked on 2 legs, like, you were good, man. She was a walking heart on 4 paws. You know what I'm saying, man? Just the sweetest dog in the fucking world. And people's ignorance of like, I'm just gonna make a blanket statement and open this umbrella and cast it over everything albino. And this ignorance is so persistent that even in Africa, there's a tribe of people that like, a lot of them are born albino. And people will fucking slaughter and genocide these people because of this notion they have of albinos being evil. And it's like, man, how fucking retarded and how borderline fucking stupid are you guys? Do you guys actually fucking think at all? At all? Do you think for yourself? Do you think anything that's an original thought, that's of your thought and not someone else's opinion or something you heard and you're regurgitating it? You know what I'm saying? So I'm ended at that. Solo YOLO BOLO. Peace.